The sacrifice. The battlefield was burning with fire and smoke. The sky above was filled with broken ships and falling debris. Everywhere there was chaos. The air smelled of metal and blood. Humans and aliens were fighting side by side against a greater threat, yet in the middle of this destruction, one moment of choice was about to change everything. The human soldier lay low behind a shattered wall. His uniform was torn, and his arm was bleeding. He was tired, but his eyes stayed sharp. He had seen too much war, too much loss, yet he did not stop because he knew stopping meant death. He scanned the field, searching for survivors. Then he saw her, a small alien girl. Her skin shimmered faint blue under the flickering light. She looked no older than a child. She was trapped between broken beams and burning metal. Her hands tried to push away the wreckage, but she was too weak. Her eyes were wide with fear. His heart stopped for a second. He had been told that humans were here only as allies, not protectors, but what he saw in that girl's eyes was no different from what he had seen in human children back home. Fear, hope, and innocence. He knew in that instant he could not leave her. He crawled out from behind the wall. Bullets and plasma fire cut through the air around him. Sparks flew as the ground exploded nearby. His comrades shouted at him to stop, to stay down, but he did not listen. His legs carried him forward, faster and faster until he reached her. The girl looked at him with disbelief. Her lips trembled. She whispered in her alien tongue, words he could not understand, but he knew what she was saying. Help. Please. Help. He pressed his hands against the hot beams. His skin burned, yet he pulled with all his strength. One by one, the pieces moved. With a final push, the wreckage fell aside. The girl crawled free, her breathing sharp and broken. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. He smiled weakly, and for a moment, the world around them seemed quiet. But the silence did not last. He turned his head and saw it. An explosive device thrown into the rubble, its red light blinking faster and faster. Time slowed down in that instant. He knew exactly what was about to happen. He could run. He could save himself. But the girl was too weak. She would not escape in time. Without thinking, he threw himself over her, his body shielding her small frame. The light flashed bright, and then the explosion came. Shrapnel ripped into his back. Fire burned through his skin. The sound of the blast tore through his ears. He felt pain like never before, but he did not let go. He held the girl tight, pressing her against the ground, keeping her safe. The girl screamed, but her voice was lost in the thunder of the blast. Dust and fire swallowed everything. When the sound finally faded, silence returned. His vision blurred. His breath came short and heavy. The world above him was dark. Pieces of metal stuck out from his body. Blood ran down his side. Yet he turned his head to see her. She was alive, her eyes wide and shining. She touched his face gently, whispering words he could not hear. He tried to speak, but his voice failed. Instead, he gave her the faintest smile, a smile that said it was worth it. No matter the pain, no matter the cost. His body grew heavy, his arms too weak to hold her any longer. The last thing he felt was her hand clutching his, warm and trembling. Then darkness took him. Around them, the battlefield still raged, but in that single corner of fire and ash, something greater had happened. A bond had been forged between two lives, a human soldier and an alien girl. One act of sacrifice that would shake the galaxy, though no one knew it yet. The girl cried out for help. Her small voice cutting through the smoke. Alien soldiers rushed in, pulling her away. Their eyes widened when they saw the human soldier lying still, broken and bleeding. He saved me. The girl whispered again and again, her words trembling. Her people stared at the human, their hearts confused, their minds shaken. No alien had expected such a thing. They lifted his body, carrying him away from the battlefield. The girl walked beside him, holding his lifeless hand, her tears falling like rain on the ground. In the distance, the stars still burned, but something else had begun to burn. A story, a truth, a legend. One human sacrifice was about to change everything, though he did not yet know, for in the darkness where he now drifted, something waited, something that would shake the galaxy when he opened his eyes again, the awakening. The soldier's mind floated in darkness, endless and silent. He could not feel his body. He could not hear the sounds of battle anymore, only the slow echo of his own heartbeat. It was faint, distant, as if it belonged to someone else. Then came light, soft at first, then brighter. It pushed through the blackness like dawn after a storm. His eyes opened slowly, heavy with pain. He expected fire and rubble. He expected the screams of war. But instead he saw walls glowing with silver light, smooth and alive like the inside of some great machine. He blinked, confused. His body was lying on a surface that hummed beneath him. Warmth spread into his bones. His wounds no longer screamed with pain. He touched his side where shrapnel had torn him apart, but the skin was whole, clean, unbroken. Figures moved around him, tall, thin, with skin that shimmered in shades of blue and green, their eyes large and glowing like pools of light. They whispered to each other in soft tones, but every word carried weight. They did not look at him with pity. They looked at him with awe. He tried to sit up, but one of the aliens pressed a gentle hand on his chest, a gesture of calm. He noticed the alien's touch was careful, almost reverent, as if he were something sacred. The girl appeared then, the same one he had shielded from the blast. Her small steps echoed in the chamber, her eyes wide and filled with emotion. She rushed to his side, her hand gripping his tightly. "You live," she whispered in her language, yet somehow he understood. Maybe it was the machines, maybe it was something else, but her words entered his mind clear as his own thoughts. His throat was dry, his voice rough. "I thought I was gone," he said. Tears welled in her eyes. She shook her head. "You took the fire for me. No one has ever done this before, not even among my people." Her voice trembled. "They are afraid of you, and they admire you." He frowned, confused. Afraid? Admire? Before she could answer, a door opened with a low hum. More figures entered, but these were different. Their robes heavy, their symbols glowing like stars across their chests, their faces stern yet unsettled. He could feel the weight of their authority as they approached. They gathered around his bed, watching him with eyes that carried centuries of judgment. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward, his voice deep and sharp. "This human has done what none of us would dare. He gave his body for another. He bled for one not his own. Do you not see what this means?" The chamber grew silent. Every alien present seemed to breathe slower. Some looked fearful, some hopeful, but none indifferent. The girl stepped forward, standing between them and the soldier. "He is no ordinary human. He is a protector. He is proof." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Proof of what, child?" She trembled, then whispered. "Of the prophecy." A murmur spread through the chamber. Whispers rose like a storm. The word itself seemed forbidden, dangerous, but it was spoken now and it could not be taken back. The soldier looked from one face to another, confusion filling his mind. "Prophecy," he said softly, his voice breaking the silence. "What prophecy?" None answered. Not yet, but the air grew heavy with fear and wonder as the machines continued to hum around him. As alien eyes stared at him with reverence and doubt, he realized something he could not escape. His sacrifice on the battlefield had not ended with saving a single life. It had awakened something greater, something that could shake the galaxy itself, and deep within him a strange feeling stirred. Not fear, not pain, but destiny. The alien girl's secret. The chamber was still heavy with silence. The word prophecy hung in the air like smoke that refused to fade. The human soldier sat upright now, his strength slowly returning. Though he did not understand why his body healed so quickly, the aliens still kept their distance, their glowing eyes filled with awe and unease. The young alien girl did not let go of his hand. Her grip was firm, as if she feared losing him again. She lowered her head, whispering softly, "I should have told you before, but I could not. I am not just anyone from my people." He looked at her, his brow furrowed. "Then who are you?" She lifted her gaze, her eyes bright with a mix of fear and pride. "I am the daughter of the High Chancellor, ruler of my world, the one who sits in council with the galaxy's leaders, the one whose voice can decide war or peace." The soldier's breath caught in his chest. He had thought she was just a child caught in the fire of war, but she was the heart of something far greater. So saving you, he whispered, was not just saving a life. She nodded slowly. It was saving the future of worlds. You are the reason I still breathe, and because of you, many voices in the council have turned their eyes to humanity. Around them, the robed elders shifted uneasily. Some nodded with approval, others glared with suspicion. One elder stepped forward, his voice sharp. This human's act may look noble, but it could be deception. We do not know the hearts of his kind. They are new. They are unpredictable. But the girl stepped in front of the soldier, her voice clear and strong. You do not understand. I was there. I saw his eyes. He thought of nothing for himself, only for me. He did not care that I was alien. He did not care that my people see his as primitive. He chose to protect me. That is the truth. The elder hesitated, his jaw tight, but no words came. The soldier sat in silence, his mind racing. Prophecy, chancellor's daughter, council. It all seemed too much. He had been just a man on the battlefield, nothing more. Yet now every look, every whisper told him he was no longer ordinary. The girl leaned close, her voice trembling but filled with urgency. You must know the truth. Long before this war, my people recorded a vision. It spoke of a stranger who would come from the stars, not of our kind, but willing to bleed for us, the vision said. This act would awaken a chain of events that could not be stopped. It said the galaxy would tremble when it happened. His chest grew heavy, his hands clenched. And you think that's me? Her eyes did not waver. I do not think, I know. Suddenly the chamber doors opened. Guards stormed in, their weapons, humming, their faces tight with alarm. One of them bowed before the elders. Forgive the intrusion, Council, but news has spread across the fleets. The story of the human sacrifice has reached the outer systems, and the people. They are chanting. Some say he is the one foretold. Others demand he be silenced before the prophecy is fulfilled. A storm of whispers broke out. The elders argued among themselves, their voices sharp, fear and hope clashing in every word. The soldier looked at the girl, her face pale, her eyes wide with both fear and determination. He realized her secret had placed not only him in danger, but her as well. If the prophecy truly spoke of him, then forces across the galaxy would rise to claim him, to worship him, or to destroy him. For the first time since the explosion, he felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. This was no longer about saving one girl, no longer about one battlefield. This was about the galaxy itself, he whispered almost to himself. What have I awakened? The girl answered softly, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. You have awakened the truth the galaxy has feared for centuries. And in that moment, he knew the battles he had fought before were nothing compared to the war that was coming. The trial of humanity. The human soldier stood in a vast chamber, unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls curved high above like the inside of a living starship. Glowing lines pulsed across the surface as if the room itself was alive. Thousands of alien eyes stared at him from seats that rose in endless rows, each one belonging to a species he had never seen before. Some with wings, some with scales, some with forms he could barely understand. This was the Galaxy Council. The girl, the daughter of the High Chancellor, walked beside him. Her presence gave him strength, yet even she looked small in the sea of power that surrounded them. Her voice echoed as she addressed the chamber. This is the human who gave his life for me. This is the one who fulfilled the ancient words. A wave of murmurs rippled through the council. Some voices were curious, others sharp with fear. Then one of the great counselors, a being of fire and stone, stood tall. His voice thundered. Humans are young, reckless, untested. Why should we trust a race that has only just learned to walk among the stars? Another counselor, her skin shimmering like crystal, rose in reply. Because none of us would do what he has done. None of us would throw away our life for another not of our kind. And yet he did, without hesitation. The soldier listened in silence, his hands clenched at his sides. He did not ask to be here. He did not ask to be judged by an entire galaxy. Yet now his every breath was being weighed like a weapon or a gift. The High Chancellor himself rose from his throne, his voice deep and commanding. Human, you stand before the Council of Worlds. Your act has changed the course of history, but we must know the truth. Was your sacrifice born of duty, of strategy, or of something else? The soldier took a deep breath. His eyes moved across the chamber. He saw suspicion, hatred, but also hope. He let his voice carry strong and steady. I did not think of strategy. I did not think of history. I saw a child trapped, and I could not leave her. It did not matter if she was human or alien, she was alive, and I could save her, so I did. The chamber grew silent. His words hung in the air like a sword. The honesty in them cut through every layer of doubt. Then, the crystal-skinned counselor spoke again, her voice softer. You see, he does not speak of conquest. He does not speak of reward. He speaks of life. This is why humanity is dangerous, not because of their strength, but because of their hearts. Her words sent a shiver through the chamber. Dangerous hearts, hearts that could inspire or destroy. The council erupted into debate, voices clashing. Some demanded humanity be embraced, others demanded their destruction. One voice shouted, if the prophecy is true, he is the beginning of something we cannot control. Another answered, perhaps he is the beginning of something we need. Through it all, the girl held his hand tightly, her small fingers trembling. She whispered, they will decide your people's fate here. With one vote, humanity may rise or fall. The soldier felt the weight of every human life pressing on his shoulders, not just his own, not just the girl's, but billions back on Earth, families, children, futures, all balanced on this trial. As the arguments raged, the High Chancellor raised his hand. Silence fell like a blade. His eyes burned as he looked at the soldier. Then let us decide, let us test not his words but his worth. We will give him a trial, one that no being has faced and returned from unchanged. If he survives, humanity shall have a place among us. If he fails, their fate is sealed. The chamber roared with approval and fear. The trial of humanity was about to begin. The soldier's heart pounded. He did not know what awaited him, but he knew one truth. He had faced death once. He had given everything for another, and if he had to do it again, he would. Whispers of a prophecy. The trial chamber emptied slowly, the counselors left with heavy words and sharper thoughts. Only the soldier, the girl, and a few guards remained. Silence pressed against him like iron. He sat on the edge of the platform, his hands shaking, not from fear but from the weight of everything placed upon him. The girl stood close, her eyes searching his face. She whispered, you should know why they fear you so much. It is not only your sacrifice. It is because of the prophecy, the words passed down for centuries. He frowned, his voice low. Tell me, I need to know. She nodded slowly, her voice soft but clear. The prophecy speaks of one who does not belong, who would come in a time of great war. The stranger would give his blood for another, and by doing so he would awaken the sleeping fire. It says that when this fire rises, the galaxy itself will tremble, rulers will fall, and new banners will rise where old empires stood. Her words chilled him. Every syllable seemed to carry weight far beyond her small frame. Sleeping fire, he whispered. What does that mean? She looked at him, her eyes filled with both fear and wonder. No one knows. Some believe it is a weapon. Others believe it is a truth buried deep inside, but all agree. The one who awakens it will change everything. Before he could speak again, the sound of footsteps echoed through the chamber. An elder cloaked in black approached, his voice a low rasp. You should not have spoken of it, child. The prophecy is forbidden. The girl held her ground. He has the right to know. The elder's eyes turned to the soldier, burning like coals in shadow. Then let him know this: the last time the prophecy was spoken aloud, empires burned and millions died. It is not hope that follows these words. It is war. And if you are the one, then war will follow you. The soldier's chest tightened. War had always been his shadow, but now it seemed it was his destiny. The elder leaned closer, his whisper sharp as a blade. Be ready, human, for already whispers spread through the fleets. Soldiers speak your name. Some call you savior. Others curse you as doom. And assassins are sharpening their blades, for those who fear the prophecy will try to end you before it breathes fully. With that, the elder turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving the chamber colder than before. The girl's hand trembled in his. "They will come for you," she whispered. "But I will not let them. I will stand with you." He looked into her eyes, young yet filled with courage, and he realized something. It was not only his fate now, it was hers too. Their lives had been bound by that one explosion, and together they were carrying a storm the galaxy could not ignore. Suddenly a tremor shook the floor beneath them. Alarms echoed through the chamber. Guards shouted in panic. One rushed forward, his voice urgent. "Council chamber under attack. Unknown ships in orbit. We must move the human at once." The girl's eyes widened. "It has begun," she whispered. "The prophecy is moving faster than anyone thought." The soldier rose to his feet, his heart steady, his voice calm. "Then let it begin. Humanity's true power." The alarms shook the chamber. Red light spilled across the silver walls. The ground trembled with each distant blast. The human soldier stood tall, though his body still carried the memory of wounds. His eyes scanned the chaos, not with fear, but with focus. Guards rushed forward, forming a protective wall around him. Yet he stepped ahead of them, his voice steady. "Who is attacking?" A commander, his armor scorched with heat, shouted back. "Rebel fleets. Those who fear the prophecy. They have come to kill you before the trial can begin. They believe if you fall, humanity will fall with you." The girl clutched his hand tighter, her voice trembling. "They will destroy everything to stop you." The soldier looked around. The chamber shook again, dust falling from the ceiling. He saw fear in the eyes of warriors who had fought wars for centuries. But he also saw something else. They were looking to him, waiting, as if he already carried the authority of a leader. He raised his voice, firm and sharp. "Listen to me. I am just a soldier. I do not carry prophecy in my hands, but I know this. Fear will not save us. Running will not save us. Standing together will." His words cut through the noise like steel. For a moment, the chamber stilled. Then the guards straightened, their eyes burning with new fire. The blast doors cracked as enemy soldiers forced their way inside. Armored figures with weapons glowing red stormed through, their voices roaring, "Kill the human!" Without hesitation, the soldier charged forward. He had no weapon but his fists, his body still weaker than theirs, yet his movements were fast, raw, desperate. He slammed into the first attacker, ripping the weapon from his grip. Turning it on the next, the aliens who watched gasped. His body bled again from fresh wounds. Yet he did not fall. Each strike came with the force of a man who had survived Earth's harshest wars. The girl shouted to the guards, "Stand with him!" Inspired, the defenders rallied, their hesitation gone, side by side with the human they fought, their blades and rifles striking in rhythm with his fury. Enemies fell one by one, their cries echoing through the chamber. When the smoke cleared, the ground was littered with broken weapons and fallen attackers. The soldier stood in the center, his chest heaving, blood staining his side again, yet his eyes still burned with fire. The commander approached, his voice shaken. "How? You are wounded, you should not be standing." The soldier gave a faint, grim smile. "That is what it means to be human. We stand when we should fall. We fight when we should surrender. And we endure when no one else can." His words carried through the chamber, carried into the ears of every survivor, and far beyond, for the battle had been broadcast. Cameras hidden in the walls streamed every moment to the fleet circling above, across ships, across planets. Countless beings watched a single human bleed, fight, and rise again. Some whispered, in awe, some in fear, but none could deny what they had seen. The girl stepped beside him, her voice strong though her eyes shone with tears. "They will never see your people the same again." The soldier looked at her, then at the wounded around him, at the galaxy's leaders who had doubted, at the screens that carried his image. Across the stars, he understood now. The prophecy was not about weapons or flames. It was about what humanity carried in their hearts: sacrifice, resilience, unity. And in that moment, as fleets across the galaxy hesitated to fire, as enemies paused to watch, he realized humanity's true power had just been revealed. The shaking of the galaxy, the smoke of battle still lingered in the chamber. Broken weapons and fallen bodies lay scattered across the floor, yet the human soldier stood unbroken, his chest rising heavy with each breath. His blood painted the silver ground, but his eyes burned with fire. Above, the great council screens carried his image across the stars. Entire worlds watched in silence, some with awe, some with fear. Fleets that had once prepared to fire now hesitated. Commanders, frozen by the sight of one man who refused to fall. The High Chancellor rose from his throne, his voice booming. "You have seen with your own eyes, this human is not a myth, not a story. He is truth. He bled not for his own kind, but for mine. He stood when others fled. He fought when others doubted. What more proof do you require?" The chamber erupted. Some counselors shouted for alliance, others screamed for destruction. One voice thundered, "If we let humanity rise, our empires will fall." Another cried, "If we deny them, we deny the very courage we claim to honor." In the chaos, the girl stepped forward, her voice cutting through like light. "You fear him, you fear humanity, because they carry something you have forgotten. They carry the will to sacrifice, the strength to endure, and the fire to inspire. You call it dangerous. I call it hope." Her words rippled through the council like a storm, across the fleets, across planets. Beings who had never cared for humans whispered their names with reverence. The soldier felt the weight of it all pressing against his chest. He had never asked for this. He had never wanted to be more than a man on the battlefield. Yet now he was more, not because of prophecy, not because of power, but because the galaxy believed. Suddenly, a new voice broke the chamber. Not from the council, but from the fleet above. A commander of the rebel ships broadcasted across every screen, his eyes burning with hatred. "This human is no savior. He is the spark of war. If you follow him, you follow destruction." The soldier raised his head, his voice steady, calm, and firm. "No, I am not the spark of war. I am the reminder of why we fight. Not for empires, not for power, but for each other. If that shakes the galaxy, then let it shake. If it breaks your empires, then they were weak already." The words struck like thunder. Silence followed, then murmurs, then roars. Across the fleet, soldiers lowered their weapons, some fell to their knees, others shouted his name. The prophecy had become more than whispers. It had become truth. The rebel commander's voice broke with fury. "You will burn for this." But even as he spoke, ships began to break from his command, turning away, unwilling to fire on the one they now saw as a symbol. The galaxy trembled. Empires shook. Banners of old power began to fall. The prophecy was no longer a secret. It was alive? The girl looked at him, her hand gripping his tightly, tears running down her face. "Do you see? Your choice on that battlefield did this. Saving me lit a fire that no council, no empire can put out." He looked at her, his voice quiet. "I was only a soldier. Nothing more." She smiled through, her tears. "No, you were human, and that was enough." The chamber lights dimmed. The sound of distant fleets shifting filled the silence. The galaxy had changed, and he knew there was no going back. His sacrifice for one alien girl had become the moment that shook the stars. And as he stood in the center of the council, blood on his hands, fire in his eyes, he whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning.